Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Freedom to Speak Easy podcast, where there definitely is no prohibition on the First Amendment here. And we're going to get right into it as we are. Joined with me always, actually, is Mark Rizzoli. And Mark, sorry about that, Mark.
Great to be here. Another great show.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some big news coming out here now, and I look forward to it. So, Mark, why don't you take us into what we're about to uncover here?
Yeah, our second part of the three-part on the Montgomery School District and how they're instituting all kinds of different curriculums
Right.
as far as the ADI, the CRT, the radical sex curriculum. Now we have the teachers union leaving the country, going to meet with a communist union affiliated to the Communist Party. So there's a lot of things going on. We have another one of our patriots calling in today. Jane Doe. Good morning, Jane. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So before we get into everything with the school district, I just want to ask you a quick question and it's for everyone out there. When did you sign a document or some type of agreement with the Montgomery School District, Phil Murphy, NJEA, Rutgers, forfeiting or giving them a right to co-parent? Did you ever sign such a document?
I did not.
Okay, and I'm sure you and all those other parents out there who are watching, they didn't sign that same document. So that's really what this is turning into now. They're trying to basically co-parent with parents without their consent. So getting into the whole Montgomery School District here, and let's just discuss the lack of transparency if you can.
Yeah. Do you want me to just dive into that?
Dive right into lack of transparency.
Right. And just before you start, actually, just let's go over real quick. Let the viewers know you're a parent, right? You have children inside children inside the school district, correct?
They have graduated.
Oh, they graduated. Okay, awesome. Okay, very good. So and just real quick, and the other thing is, the township, your township itself, is it a vibrant community? What kind of community would you define it as?
Well, it's a very lovely community. Nice area to live in New Jersey. Very it's rural, yet we've got a lot going on here. There's a lot of socialization among the families, parents involved with their kids, with sports and activities.
So it's somewhere where you would want to raise a family.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
It's why we moved here.
Awesome. So, all right, let's get into that then. The lack of transparency, and if you want to explain that a little bit, please.
Yeah. So, well, we've had a lack of transparency that I've noticed for over a year now, maybe about 3 years, while I've been paying attention. And with specificity, I can talk about this one instance with this trip that our contingent from the board and some teachers and some administrators went on this trip to South Africa, to the South Africa Democratic Teachers Union Convention, or whatever they're calling it. And when it came up in December, we noticed it on the expenses being approved that night at the board meeting in December. We started asking questions about it, and we really weren't getting any answers, which, of course, makes you wonder, why won't they answer our questions? And we asked more and more questions, and we weren't getting any answers, whether it was in the meeting or through emails and letters to the board. It was just, this is part of something, this labor management, I can't remember what LMCI means, but the LMCI through the Rutgers School of Management, that they have been working with LMCI for almost 9 years now, and that they're just continuing with it, that this is nothing new. But parents didn't know about it. And again, as we were digging into it, just searching about what the South Africa Democratic Teachers Union is, and we found out about this link to communism and really bad. They have terrible school system there. So it was like we're not being given information. We have to dig on our own, and then we find out some alarming facts.
Well, when you said the school board wouldn't answer, did they just flat out refuse to answer, or they were more in cover-up mode where they were giving all types of different excuses for the trip?
Yeah. So they didn't want to answer it. One of the board members did ask questions. He was alarmed about some of our parents' questions, and said, let's postpone this vote on this expense for a month. And there was some debate among the board members, and they decided to go ahead and vote on it. And they did, and they approved it. And they said they couldn't put it off to January because they wouldn't be able to get some state approvals, through in time for the trip. But if they had waited till January, they would have had some new board members on. That probably would have voted down the trip.
What she just said, that's the alarming thing. State approvals for the trip.
Right.
Which tells you now how Phil Murphy is really, and the State Board of Ed are really interfering in the day-to-day operations of local school boards. And if they don't
colluding.
They're colluding. And if he doesn't get his way, he immediately threatens with the removal of funding for the school.
Well, Mark, there's no coincidence that Murphy was just there recently doing his big speech over there.
He had
the same school district.
He had to reward all his supporters there for giving into his radical curriculum.
Jane Doe, have you I'm curious. I mean, did you ever expect the teachers union to have this type of influence inside of you, or try to get this type of influence in children's education?
No, I never realized that there was this influence for years, and that there is, and it's pretty alarming to realize how ingrained this is, how this is just so prevalent with everything, like day to day at our schools. The union is it's almost like they're running the show. The whole thing about them being involved with this labor management collaborative initiative, and the fact as at the December meeting when we did ask questions about this trip, the board themselves couldn't answer the questions. They called up the president of the union to answer the questions about this trip. So,
well, don't you realize in the problem, the fact that the union is driving the ship there. He's directing the Board of Ed now, which board members, have we said previously, are there to represent the parents and advocate for children. They're not there to represent the superintendent or the union. They're doing the total opposite.
Well, I didn't know when the last time we elected a teachers union president. Who died?
Well, not just right. We didn't elect any. The NJEA wasn't elected to govern our state. Right. Nor was the Garden State Equality or other radical organization. Nor was Rutgers. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much interference is going on, and it's all about the political narrative. I mean, just to drive that into the school districts and to indoctrinate children. It's just terrible. So Jane Doe, what was the response from the community? What happened? What happened when the community started to find out about this?
Well, the community that is looking into this it's just alarming. But we have to let our other parents and taxpayers know what's going on, unless they've been coming to the school board meeting. Our local paper isn't covering any of this. But as we all have been talking to people, neighbors and friends in the community, they are quite alarmed at what they're hearing just on this one subject alone.
Right. And this is not an issue just for parents. If you don't have a child that's in the school district, it's still you're a taxpayer. You're funding all this stuff. And let's be honest, that a vibrant education system in the community is what makes the community go. And you have this type of stuff being pushed on parents, and it's just reamed down your throat. That's what it is. It's like, and you're not allowed to ask questions. God forbid if the elected officials that you put there, all right, have respond. God forbid if they do. Nobody wants to hear from the lawyer, but we want to hear from our elected officials and the superintendent.
Jane, what did you think of Phil Murphy calling the education there a world-class education? What's your thoughts on that?
In Montgomery?
Yes. Well, in general, when he was in Montgomery, he was talking about this is a world-class education, the things that are being implemented. I mean, what's your response to that?
My response is that I don't know what he's looking at or I don't understand. He's just he's just saying a lot of nonsense as far as I'm concerned, because I don't see anything that he's done or anything that the state has done or thrown down, put down our throats, has done anything to improve the education in our city, in our state, or in our township.
Right.
I feel that if anything, like if you look at the school rankings in the past 20 years, our rankings have fallen within the state.
Right.
So we were number 2 20 years ago, and now, depending on where you go, we're like 34 or 43. Now,
do you feel there's been an effort to intimidate parents from speaking at board meetings?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you go to a board meeting, you can see others who who aren't really paying attention to this, but there are small groups of people who get up repeatedly and apologize for the rest of us for asking questions and think and say that the board's doing a great job. And it's and it's like, you have no clue. You're not paying any attention. We're asking about our taxpayer dollars, and we're asking about our children getting a world-class education. Montgomery has a very high amount of our tax dollars going towards the schools. It's like 67%.
Right.
So I think that we have a right to know that the money is being used wisely. And if our rankings are falling, that makes no sense. Something's going on. And I think it's a lot of this distraction as we go on with labor management collaboratives and this new health curriculum and all these other things, and spending 20 minutes of each class going around asking children their pronouns. They're not learning. My son, when he was in high school, he came home every day and said, I'm not learning anything.
It's amazing because, we had what's going on to the children on a social aspect. You just had a young child here, not far from where we are, who in 6th grade took their own life. I mean, it is those, you have real issues, especially at post-COVID now. Real issues. These kids they're so far behind. They need, and we don't focus on. I always say STEM. Keep it simple. Keep it to STEM. And it is amazing that I think we are failing our kids. And thanks to the teachers union, honestly, because honestly they're selfish. And they only care about their bottom line. And let's be honest, and that's not to say that every teacher is bad. I'm not saying that, but the union as a whole is a disaster because they want control over your kids' education. And when they get control, this is what you see them wanting to push in. So,
Jane, do you feel that kids are being pushed through the system and are basically not equipped to go move forward to college and everything?
Great question.
I would say so. I've seen that in my own family, and it's really a shame because as I said, we were a top school in the state, and now we're not. And getting back to teachers, we have wonderful teachers in Montgomery.
I'm sure.
And every day that, one or another will come forward to some of us that are questioning things and say, how unhappy they are, and they don't feel like they're teaching anymore. They feel like, what they went into teaching for, they're not able to do anymore.
Right, right.
Well, they're being used to push a specific political narrative, right? Right, and then if you question anything, you're a bad person, you're a racist, you're xenophobe. I mean, any type of name they can come up with, as opposed to just allowing them to do their job and teach children the basics, which obviously isn't happening because so many kids now are having difficulty reading and writing and doing math.
Well, Mark, this is what I say. If you didn't know any better, and we're just, you come down from another planet and you hear this story right now, you would think Montgomery is on fire right now. You would think there must be an imminent issue there that they need to change the culture. They need to change the language and the rhetoric. But as we just got done saying when we started, this is a tolerant community. It sounds like it is a community that you would want to raise your family in. So why push this stuff down our throats? And do you feel Jane Doe that your district, your township is being targeted specifically for whatever reason it may be?
I'm not sure. It does seem, and you talked about Phil Murphy coming to Montgomery a couple of weeks ago. They came to one of our schools during school hours, and they brought in every Democratic, I don't mean to pick on the party, but every Democratic person that is related in Montgomery who is trying to, maybe get more exposure and move on up through state positions and maybe even further than that. And so it's...
Well, let's face it. I mean,
scary.
Your representation, you have Senator Zwicker, you have the AOC of New Jersey,
oh my God,
Assemblywoman Jaffer. I mean, they're all for this radical curriculum and whatnot. So of course, how do you're not even represented properly? Let's face it, they're trying to remove the parents from everything. Like I said before, they believe they can co-parent now, and they don't have to answer to anyone for doing it.
Absolutely.
And you think, oh, we have parents like Jane and the rest of the group who are pushing back and doing a lot of research and attending meetings. I mean, that's what more parents throughout New Jersey need to do. The way to push back is attend meetings and ask a lot of questions.
Well, strengths in numbers, so they can't listen. There's intimidation factors, but if 200 of you show up, it's a little different, and they see that that's the only. Jane Doe, the only thing these people respond to, okay, is votes. It's politics, and it's disgusting that we continue to put politics into our children's education, but that's the only thing. And I would flood those school board meetings now. I would make sure there's butts in those seats, and people are asking questions. And even if they got to keep that meeting open till 11, 12 o'clock until you guys get answers, so be it. That's just the way I look at it. So that's, I mean, I've been there, I've done it, and it's what you have to do sometimes. And it's a shame that it's like pulling teeth with some of them, and it really is a shame.
Well, Jane, anything else you like to cover before you go?
Well, yeah, if there's any message or something,
yeah, like, what do you want to tell everybody out there?
Yeah, what do you want people to know? Like, what's the message, as Mark just said, that you want to get out?
Well, first of all, just getting back really quickly to parents being removed from the system. They now, in some of the schools, send out notices to parents, and they call, and instead of saying dear parents, they say dear caregivers. So that's just telling you something there. But anyway.
Well, that's a new mentality.
Yeah. But in answer to your question, I mean, really, a year ago, I didn't realize how prevalent this was and how horrible this was. I just went along to a board meeting with a friend of mine who asked me to come and support her. And I really couldn't believe what I was hearing. There was no mention of fiscal responsibility, no mention of courses or curriculum, or how they're going to make up for COVID losses. So I would say, please get out there. Like you said, go to board meetings. If you can't go, there's recordings of board meetings, I think, all over the state, just about. Board meetings are being recorded. There are agendas out there. There are minutes out there. Talk to your teachers. Do whatever you can to just really find out what's going on. Because when you really dig down and find out what's going on, and you don't have to dig far, you'd be alarmed, and you're the only one who can do something about it. And voting absolutely is the way to go about it. Is you're going to have to change things with your vote. But writing letters and showing up is a big part of it too. So that's what I would stress. I would just find out what's going on in your district, because you might be amazed. You might hear, they're still writing off the fact that they were number 2 in the state, but we're not anymore. But they still say, oh, we have that top school. Well, that was 20 years ago. You can't keep writing off of that. And even if you find out you're not in the top school, like, find out what your tax dollars are going for. Take a look. It might be alarming. And then again, with the union's involvement, that's pretty frightening too. So stand up, and people, you can make a difference. Every single person who does something can make a difference.
Well, you most certainly make it a difference
absolutely.
by bringing this into the light and to everybody's attention. I just want to thank you and your team for what you're doing. I mean, you should look into running for public office moving forward.
Oh, listen, there might be candidates right from this movement, and I would suggest this. Let me make one recommendation, and is when you go to these meetings. Big problem with a lot of these school board meetings, it's the timing. So people are working all day. It's they can't get to these meetings. Those that are there at the meetings, I would utilize social media to your advantage. Go Facebook Live. Go all these live videos. That's what I used to do that here in Edison. So my theory was this: if people couldn't come here, I would deliver the meetings to them, and then eventually they ended up the district ended up Facebook Living all the meetings a few months later. But that's what I would do here. I would get as many. That's how you need to draw so much attention to this. And we're happy to help, and we definitely will. But you got to fill those seats in. And I'm serious. And people don't know when meetings are, and you maybe if it's to create a Facebook page or something for parents just to kind of have a central meeting spot there to voice their concerns, and then take it to the meeting. So that's my recommendation. Utilize social media to your advantage. So.
But thanks a lot, Jane, for calling in, and please keep in touch. Send us emails as you get more information. We'll have you back on. Let's follow up.
Absolutely.
Thank you both very much for having me on.
No, thank you.
All right, take care.
Stay safe.
Okay.
Mark. Well, listen, we keep repeating this over and over again about parents' involvement, and you
and I aren't shocked.
This is part 2. Well, I'm not surprised at all. I am surprised the fact they're even stooping to sending teaching staff to to learn about communism through the South African Democrat Teachers Association, which, by the way, as I mentioned last show, they're running naval operations with China and Russia.
Oh, I know.
Russia. Putin recently is a warrant issued for his arrest for crimes against humanity. So this is what the NJEA, Phil Murphy, and all Rutgers, this is who they want This is the country where they want to send teachers to be for instructional training with another country who's involved with Putin, who is basically
slaughtering children, slaughtering women and children, slaughtering.
I mean, torturing, prisoners of war. It's mind-boggling, and how this is just, and Phil Murphy sits there giggling, world-class education. Maybe according to him and his political ideology, there's not anything but. We have children who aren't ready for college. We have children who aren't ready for high school. And he's getting before a microphone, bragging about this. Well, listen, he's just an evil scumbag, and I think people understand that. The more you look into Phil Murphy, the more you realize how evil he is.
Absolutely, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to say that it's a world-class education when you have $1 billion, all right, and you could send your kids to private school, okay, and get all the tutors in the world, get all the resources that you could possibly afford for your own children. So
listen, and you want to see, all you have to do is look at what municipality received what X amount of dollars. Right. That's how you know it's politically driven.
Oh, absolutely. I
mean, it's right there for everybody to see. He's not hiding it. Look at this Craig Coughlin's district, assembly speaker. His district got loaded up with funds.
Mark, do you find
loaded up
when we had a new mayor just sworn in last year here in Edison? All of a sudden, the money just trickled in to the district. I mean, all of a sudden, just flew in. Like, the politics in education is disgusting. It's been going on for a long time. The NEA, but then you have the NEA, NJEA. Okay, these are all the teachers union. You have Spiller, who's the union teachers union president, who wants to be governor. Okay, this is the type of stuff that is just absolutely ridiculous. And you have children that are really suffering. I just said before, you had a child that just took their life. I mean, just an incredible thing. We're missing, like, you know what it is, Mark? We have a child here, many children who are suffering, who knows what they are. And we are so focused on stuff that does not matter, stuff that we don't need to deal with here, and we're worried about the wrong stuff. And these kids, and they're paying the price. They're paying the price.
This has been happening since COVID. The lockdowns, how they were extended. How many school districts had no plan to reopen? Or they didn't want to reopen. It was saving money.
No,
let's face it. The teachers union there's clearly emails to the CDC to keep schools closed. Listen, they were collecting paychecks sitting home. They loved it.
And they raised taxes anyway. So after COVID schools were shut down.
What happened to the CARES money?
My God.
That's what people need to ask. How did your school district use their CARES money?
Absolutely.
What was it put towards?
All right.
It obviously wasn't put towards reopening.
Right.
Why are school boards having their financial meetings behind closed doors, their budget meetings? These things need to be asked. Hundreds of millions of dollars from each community. Jersey City with $1 billion. I mean,
$1 billion school budget.
How is the money being spent? Obviously not that we're worried about radical curriculum as opposed to actually educate. It's all about indoctrination.
And as you said it before, and we're gonna wrap it up here, but you said a great point, and I guess I could even make this my last quote, but the boxing, the group, like, these kids are just moved along. They're put in a box, and they just no. I don't know if kids. It's the way they do this. The grades now is amazing. There's no, some schools, some districts don't have ABC. It's just kind of pass fail. Nobody really stays back anymore. It's like there's there's nothing wrong with the kid.
Well, that's why the school district didn't want standardized testing.
Right. Exactly. No, 100%. Yeah.
When the kids returned to the classroom,
right,
because they didn't want to see what a failure.
It showed. Yes.
Their Zoom learning was all virtual learning was all about.
Evidence.
Yeah, exactly. It's one big cover-up. It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, listen, the NJEA, Phil Murphy, now you have Rutgers involved with this. It's just continuing until the parents say that enough is enough, and that's what it's all about. They need to start pushing back and attending these meetings.
Well, Mark, before we leave, we always do our last call where Mark and I get a minute apiece and to speak about any topic. And Mark, I mean, mine's pretty obvious, but why don't you go first, though?
Yeah, listen, I just want to once again commend these parents, these patriots who are stepping up and calling in here to our show and exposing what's going on. It's about time we finally have people on the inside who are really exposing things and opening people's eyes, and it's really important. I mean, we say it over and over again. That's the only way to put this to a stop. I mean, you have kids failing, and yet they're worried about sex curriculum, CRT, DI. I mean, you go on and on and on. And now you got this implementation of communism. If you don't like this country, there's many ways to leave.
Listen, that's couldn't say well said. Well said. And I will say this, for all the parents, and if your district is going through similar stuff, you got go into these meetings is so important. It is so important because they only respond. The elected officials only respond. Mark, you were an elected. I mean, for a lot of you were one of the good ones, but we know that a lot of elected officials only. Hey, it comes down to votes. They want to win re-elections and stuff like that. Putting butts in the seats. And then you say, hey, listen, nobody comes anymore. Utilize social media. Everybody's on social media. Get Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever it may be. All right. Have your district live stream these meetings. Have an interaction where that if it's possible to take questions over the live stream if they can't get to meetings. And make them speak. Listen, this idea that they sit back and don't talk and they limit the amount of time that you have and all this stuff is an incredible thing. It really is. I want to hear from the superintendent here. What does the superintendent have to say here? Nothing, of course.
Well, the superintendent won't answer the parents. So most certainly he can
answer. It's such a joke.
Well, listen,
$200,000 paycheck he's getting. Too.
Well, before we go, I want all the parents out there. You heard me ask the question earlier. When did you give permission to Phil Murphy, NJEA, your school districts to co-parent? Right. Please, respond in our comments. Get back to us. Let us know what you think of that. The fact that they believe they have a right to co-parent, and I think that's something I'd like to see some response in the comments.
Absolutely.
In the show and on the website and everything, and on our pages. Get involved, get engaged. Then don't forget, make sure you vote by mail. Early voting, you have to overwhelm the fraud, or else there's going to be no change.
All right, guys. Until next time, Mark, Anthony, we'll see you later, guys.
Have a good one. Have a good night.
1, 2, 3 to the groove, come dance with me. Swing out, jive in. Come on, honey, show me how you move it. Swing out,